looking at isn't the all-new 10th generation Honda Civic. It's actually its predecessor, the 9th generation hatchback for Europe. The reason we're starting with this is because it's actually rather good. It had a strong engine lineup, respectable fuel economy, a spacious interior with those clever Honda Magic seats, and a boot that could fit the entirety of the moon. It's always risky for a brand to replace their bread and butter model with an all-new car. The question is the 10th generation Civic up to the job? This is the 10th generation Honda Civic Hatchback, and it's got a brand new bag of toys. Welcome to the European launch of the all-new 10th generation Honda Civic Hatchback, and it's a car we've been waiting for with eager anticipation. And if first impressions are to go by, it's a bit of a looker, isn't it? Lower, wider, longer, leaner, meaner. The car has had a thorough redesign, and it's on point in terms of design, I think. If you look at this car in Sport Plus trim with its contrasting black skirts, the black alloy wheels, the aggressive bonnet creases that run down to those raked headlights, and the wide grille that runs across the front fascia, the car has a real presence about it. Cast your eye rearwards to this particular car and you'll also find it's got a dual exhaust pipe. I think of all the Civic variations, this hatchback is the one to go for. I think it's the best looking in comparison to the coupe and the sedan. I just think it has that coupe-esque line. It has quite a steep rake to the rear boot lid, but also it's sort of got a bit of broader shoulders towards the rear, and that's thanks to wider tracks both front and rear on this car. It's both more dynamic than the previous car and more grown up at the same time. As mentioned, this Civic is all new, and that includes the engine, and under the bonnet we've got a new 1.5 litre turbocharged petrol engine, and Honda have really embraced turbocharging this generation. You can also get a 1 litre VTEC turbocharged engine, which is actually very good, and also this larger 1.5, and the 1.5, well, that's got a bit of girth to it. 180 brake horsepower and 240 newton meters of torque. That is sent through the front wheels via this 6-speed manual transmission, which actually has quite a nice slick motion to it. Apply some pressure to the throttle and the torque of the turbo pushes you onwards, and it's quite a nice reassuring surge of torque that it gives you. It's very linear, the engine actually, especially for a turbocharged unit. There is just a smudge of turbo lag, but not much, and I have to say they've done really well to reduce the lag as well as they have done. Hustle that gearbox and let the engine rev out, and you'll soon find that the car actually has a pretty good turn of pace to it. That sports exhaust as well adds a slightly gruffer note to the engine, I've noticed. Put the car onto some twisty tarmac and take full advantage of the wider track. The increased grip the car has got adds to that reassurance and enables you to push it maybe a little bit harder on more challenging surfaces. And that is further bolstered by new multi-link rear suspension. Something else that helps the composure of this car is the fact that the chassis is actually 52% stiffer than before in terms of torsional rigidity. The new Civic can also be had with adjustable dampers to have an even firmer, sportier ride. The steering is very responsive. You don't have to put too much into the wheel to get a decent amount of movement out, and it just means you don't end up crossing your arms quite so much whenever you are going through spaghetti-like sections of road. That said, there's not too much communication between the road and driver. I think the steering could do with a bit more feel, a bit more feedback, so you really know what's going on underneath the front wheels. I mean, that adds to the refinement in a way, particularly around town. Steering weights are good and things. And whilst we're on the subject of refinement, actually, the interior insulates the sound pretty well. The engine sort of dies down into a quiet hum in the background, and there's only a little bit of road noise that tends to render itself into the cabin. Moving on to said cabin, the mature theme continues as you find some really interesting surfaces in here. Contrasting materials, different tiers to the dashboard. Everything looks quite prim and proper and solid and secure, and it feels well built but also well designed in terms of a visual perspective. Making itself at home on the centre console is a touchscreen infotainment system, and this runs the latest incarnation of Honda's Connect operating system. Whilst it's not the fastest unit on the market, it is much more ergonomic in the way that it is laid out and also supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Further tech can be found in the triple display in the instrument binnacle here, whilst you've got two rather space age style gauges either side of this digital instrument display. That's fully customizable and can integrate with your smartphone too. The seats in the front are actually pretty well bolstered, and there's lots of little cubby holes and things all around the cabin for you to store your day-to-day gubbins. In the back, the extended wheelbase of the car means there is plenty of legroom, although the sloping roofline does cut into headroom. It's not terrible, it's just the tallest of folk may find themselves hunching slightly. As with the last Civic, the boot is a key point with this car. It's class leading once again, 478 litres. Honda claim that driven sensibly, this 1.5 litre unit is capable of 47.8 mpg and emissions of 133 grams per kilometre of CO2. The new Honda Civic starts at £18,335, and I have to say, if you fancy one in your driveway, it's certainly something that I would recommend. We're quite keen to get it back on UK roads to see how it handles some slightly rougher roads, but overall, it's a pretty sound offering from Honda. It's always a massive risk for a manufacturer to start with a blank canvas, but it's a damn good thing that Honda's engineers are pretty good artists.
Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe for all of the latest and greatest cars to hit the road. For breaking news and written reviews, visit www.insidelane.co.uk.